What we do here matters, because what we don't do matters even more.
We need to continue to push, and we at ADAO are going to continue to push the Surgeon General of the United States.
As you know, the United States continues to use asbestos, and that indeed is a barrier to others stopping its use.
The most horrific part of this whole story is that it is preventable.
We have two personal awards that we want to give out tonight. On your table, if you look towards the center, you're going to see a small book that says How Asbestos Changed Our Lives. It's a collection of our stories. Not every person, can we get the PowerPoint back on? Does that work? Thank you. Thank you. Inside this book, we recognized when Alan got sick, and obviously when Doug's loved one was sick, that people really didn't understand. We didn't have a President Grogan that took us by the back of our neck and said, come on, come this way. We had to try to figure out our own journey and path. As a result of where we've been and where we are now, we recognize how important our stories are. So you are welcome to each have, who's ever the lucky winner of this book. It's actually a beautiful collection of stories, about 52 of patients and families that have contributed what makes a difference. So tonight we're going to recognize that first, we're going to click this forward. Yes. We are going to call Jill Cagle to the podium. She will be receiving the Alan Reinstein Award on behalf of her late husband, Robbie. When Alan got sick, he just said, I'm not really sick, I just have cancer. When there was a patient that needed to speak to someone for some strength, he said, no problem, I'm happy to speak to them. So there was never a challenge that was too big or too daunting for Alan. And this award represents those patients and families that really embody that sort of spirit. Robbie had a special saying, it's all good. And even at the end of his life, he made us all believe it was all good. So on behalf of our family, ADAO and Reinstein, we want to present you with the Alan Reinstein Award for your love, your dedication, what you've done to raise awareness, and for keeping Rob's flame alive for all of us.
Yes, I'll cry, and that's okay. The first word for me for Rob would be courage. With this disease, he showed courage under fire like you can't believe. He was one of those guys that we had to treat in New York, we live in Illinois, and we treated in New York, and we'd go there for treatments, and he would say, Dr. Tapp, who's in the house? So he'd be hooked up to his IV with his chemo, and he'd be taking his little pole around. He'd be talking to people and visiting them and stuff, and just to bring the other people up. He would do anything just to help other people, feel good too. He had like an undying spirit. A man that we always bought our Christmas trees at the same place. And the year after Rob passed, he said, when I saw your husband, he said, I never knew he was sick. Because Rob didn't act sick. He didn't complain about it or whine about it. We did what we had to do, and he had a lot of treatments he had to go through. I think he went through at least 3 different surgeries, but you probably really wouldn't have known it that very, very much. The one story I do have to say about ADAO is the very first time I came here, I had never flown by myself. We've treated in New York. I had never flown. I had never been anywhere in my life. So I definitely got out of the box there. The very first time I flew by myself was to the ADAO conference, and that was in Detroit. And the kind of person that Rob was, our airport is not very big. We're Peoria, or Pecan as the Australians like to call it, Pecan. And I went, and I was, of course, nervous. I'm by myself, and I go, okay, I'm trying to get all my stuff together. And I did, and I got in line, and I did my boarding pass. And I was walking by and I wasn't even paying attention. I looked over, and here sat Rob. And he worked for the railroad, and he was just sitting there waiting for me to notice him. And he was just, just because he knew I was going by myself. he just came there to surprise me. I think I dropped every piece of luggage in my hand. But that just was the kind of man he was. He was passionate in everything that he did. He loved to fish. He loved his children. He loved his family. And I'm sorry. One of the things we also did together was we did a lot of benefits. We'd help out either by helping out with raffles or doing something like that or scheduling. The night before Rob was put into hospice, he was DJing. It was actually our cancer nurse in Pekin. Her son has brain cancer and is still is living. And he was DJing that event. And when I got home that evening, he said, you know, I think I need to go in. And we went into the hospital and so we needed to go on hospice. And we did, but even through that, even through the hospice, we still lived. We went on vacation. He got on a little hover round, and he would whip around on the hover round thing. The saddest thing was he could not get his bike up because it was heavy. And then so when he couldn't do that, I just told him the next day. I said, you know what? We're going to the Harley shop. We went up and bought him a trike. In 3 months, he put 1,400 miles on it. He really, really lived. When he was in hospice, I did not know this, but he pulled a bunch of different people in from the family, and he talked to them individually. And my niece, she was, I think, 17 years old then, wrote something, and this is where you'll understand when I was talking about the butterfly. And we read this at his celebration. Uncle Rob deserves a note about him. He deserves so much, but most of all, for no one to forget him. Death is sudden and unexpected. Even when it is somewhat expected, it stops us in our tracks. There is a thought that comes to mind when someone observes death. It is an obvious thought, but a heart-stopping one. They aren't there anymore. Their body is empty and they are gone. Many thoughts came to my mind when I saw my uncle for the last time, all of those a part of them. I think the saddest part of death are the memories. They linger and float, appear and reappear. Memories are beautiful and tug at our hearts. I used to think that memories sucked as a kid. I gotta remember this is a 17-year-old. Memories made me sad. Memories made me cry. Memories were bad. Yes, now I remember and am so thankful to God that we were blessed with memories. So we know for sure how much we love the ones we have lost. So we can still hold on to their lives they lived. So we can smile and feel deep down inside us. I remember when Robbie first started to get bad and the cancer wouldn't let up. My family went to see him in the hospital, and we individually had talks with him. I walked in and saw him and the medication. There is a point when medication overrules strength and bodily functions, and all you can do is wait for them to come back to show they are there again. He talked to me about everything, my boyfriend, my family, my work, and my mistakes. But the thing was, he didn't judge me. He didn't reprimand me or preach to me. He told me personal stories of the things he had done that far outweighed mine. I felt happy, sad, but most of all, not guilty. I just felt like someone who needed to pray. Then Robbie told me something I will never forget. I was crying because it wasn't fair, the pain he had to endure. He looked at me and said, Tara, I could be a butterfly and land on your shoulder. I never really grasped the idea, but today I can feel it. Uncle Rob meant how big his life was and how you can find happiness in the things you don't expect. You can find beauty in things that don't look gorgeous. No matter how torn he was on the outside and how sick he was inside, it was the life in Uncle Rob that I remember most. The laugh, the smile, the sense of humor, the everlasting need for suspense and exhilaration. We were both roller coaster junkies. The times when we had come and banged pots and pans together after slumber parties, the fish fries we held, and the tickles he gave. Yes, tears may fall, and hearts are shattered, but that isn't what Robbie wanted. Yes, it's okay to cry and to reminisce, but Robbie wanted us to take in the life we have while we have it and live. He wanted us to be happy and thankful. He wanted us to love God and rejoice in one another. That was the life in Robbie, that we have life in all of us, and that we need to use it and live. Ever since she has written this, Rob was cremated, and when we went over, we went over to have lunch somewhere else afterwards, all of us. As we were entering, and it was pretty cold outside, here came a humongous monarch butterfly and flew around and left. I have butterflies all around me, all the time. It is amazing. I've never had them around me like that ever before. When I went to my first family reunion without Rob, My daughter looked up, we were taking our picture, here came a monarch butterfly, and then just took off. When I went to Mexico, I was on a horse and I was riding through somewhere, and there was probably 50 butterflies flying around me. It is, I don't believe, oh, that's Rob. I believe it's his spirit, and I believe it's God's way of letting me know it's okay. Butterflies go through so much to become a butterfly. Rob had to go through so much, and all of you, everybody that's gone through the cancer, you go through so much, but you can come out a beautiful, beautiful butterfly, and I believe that, and I believe that's where the spirit is. Thank you.